Sam.
Josh.
Sam is helping me with the logo, but she is not for hire.
Probably not.
That's what we want to talk about. Because freelancing, one, it's hard. Two, it's not for everybody. We got to figure out like who we are. Do we like freelancing? Do we not like freelancing? Right?
Yeah.
So that's the game.
Yeah.
And what are some pros, freelancing pros?
For me, it was about having my own schedule, being my own boss, taking the jobs I wanted, turning down the jobs I didn't want. That's good for me. Not having a set 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Which I do now, and I do enjoy this, but that's always been a struggle for me. Is I'm not a schedule person. I feel creative when I feel creative, and I don't when I don't. And sometimes I'd be up until 3 working, and then some days, I'd go days without being able to produce anything, and that was good for me.
Yeah, cool. How long did you do that ride?
Oh goodness, it was a good few years.
Yeah. Cool. So not like a 2-month thing and then you quit.
No. And it started slow and progressed. I was designing basically t-shirts because I was connected with a printing company and they asked me, hey, would you like to sell some of your designs and we'll print them and ship them and all you have to do is take the jobs and send us the graphics. And I was like, sounds easy enough. And it was a side gig while I was in school and working other jobs. And I just did more and more, and people would ask me for certain other kinds of design work, and it progressed from there, where that was mostly what I was doing was branding for small businesses and things like that. And the t-shirt designing it didn't bring in any income, but it was fun, and it gave me that creative outlet.
Yeah, well, that brings us up to the next point, but I want to make sure we're still recording.
Okay.
So you got into doing local business, small business branding, design stuff.
Mostly online type business.
Okay.
Not many local.
And then what are some of the negatives that arose from that experience?
Oh man. Well,
let's put it all out. Okay. We did this recent thing. This recent fun logo thing, Okay, not for hire. And you said I was your best client ever.
Yes.
So which means that there have been bad experiences before.
Of course, yeah.
So what were some of those negative things?
Well, I would say the negatives and the positives really depend on who you are as a person and what you do and don't like. For me, the negatives were being put in a box. People would come to me and say, hey, I have this business. I want you to, let's say, design a logo for it. And I would say, tell me about it. Tell me what you want from it. And they would say, send me a picture of somebody else's logo and say, I want this in pink. And I'd be like, can't do that. Or they would say, give me this outrageous list of specifications. Or they wanted something that was honestly just a horrible idea for a company's logo. And I would have to gently and politely tell them or try to redirect them, things like that. Or people would, people don't know.
Yeah.
People would tell me, oh, I have no idea, just come up with something. And I'd be like, oh boy. So I would try to say, okay, well, how about something like this, something that showcases this side of your business, or, what's the most important aspect to portray to you. I would try to get a direction going, and they would be super vague. So I would just do something that I felt, and it's hard to do a logo for a business when you don't know the person and you don't know the business and you can't get many details out of it, and it's just producing something super generic, meaningless, looks like everything else kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's not what I was great at, because you can find that anywhere.
Yeah.
You can go buy a pre-made logo and slap your name in it.
Probably can make one of those.
Yeah.
So something that I experienced, and I think this is probably pretty similar, is that they can't tell you what they want. And so then they're like, make me something. Then you make something, and then they're like, no, I don't want that.
Exactly.
And I experience in the design and that they can tell you when it's ugly, or not ugly, But when
Right.
it's not what they want, but then they can't steer you
Exactly.
into the direction.
And that's really no one's fault.
Yeah.
It's just kind of how it goes. So I would say being a freelance designer is a great idea if you do have maybe the financial freedom. If you're not in it for money, great, and it's just a side gig, just a creative outlet, great. That's kind of what it was for me. I tried to turn it into a more focused thing, and that's where it kind of went sour for me. Because if it's your financial source of, input there, then you don't have the ability to be more selective and more picky. You kind of have to just take the jobs you get, and a lot of those jobs, the jobs suck, or it's just a bad fit with the client, and you can't help them, and you wasted that time. Or you have people that try to hire you, and they maybe give you a down payment, and you give them the work, and then they just don't want to give you the rest of the money, and those things happen. Not usually often, but
Yeah. And so now you have a 9-to-5 J.O.B.
pretty much, yeah.
When did you start doing a J.O.B? Like, tell me about that kind of transition from freelance to
it's more like
go ahead and giving your soul to somebody else.
I started at a J.O.B. When right before I turned 16, I started working in childcare.
Okay.
I think my mom was hoping it was like a form of birth control that she could just throw me into. So I did jobs, but I always had that. I was always creative. I was always painting and sketching. My whole life I've always been the artist. I feel like getting into graphic design was a way for me to try to turn my artistic side into some sort of decent monetary source, because people always told me, you're going to be a starving artist living in a rusty old van.
Yeah.
It was a source of creativity, and I liked that I was providing a service, and I loved that. Helping people build their brand, I really liked that part of it. I liked helping with the marketing side and helping direct people's focus, because I like the giving things a picture and a face and that kind of thing, and taking their, they had sketched something with Sharpie and scanned it and put it up, and that was their logo. I liked taking that and cleaning it and turning it into something that was transferable across mediums and things like that.
That's fun. I'm big on employee, entrepreneur, and entrepreneur. And so that journey of, I don't want to say, like, you still paint and things, I'm sure that you still create. I bet the 2-year-old has probably stifled that a little bit. But the self-awareness in, should I do the entrepreneur risk thing, or is it more preferable to me to have a J.O.B? And I love that. I think that there's many, many, many people that entrepreneurism is cool, and entrepreneur is the way to be, or for whatever reason. And I love that you turned it all off for the time, for probably a season, and to get a J.O.B, clock in, clock out, leave it at work, and have your laundry and kid duty and all that and husbandry stuff. And because you can't have that in the freelance world. You can't. You don't clock off. You don't check out. You're always thinking. Like you wake up Saturday morning at 8:11 and you're like, that's it.
Exactly.
And then you have to go do it. And I would assume that you stayed up in bed thinking about your clients and the work and stuff.
Sometimes you lay down and you try to sleep, and then you realize, what about this? And you have to get up and crank it out right then. So, I don't think it would work for my life now at all, especially since my child won't leave my computer alone. But I would say if you have the ability to try it part-time. Yeah. Don't halt your life.
Side hustle.
Yeah, side hustle first. So if you can manage it, if you have the clients for it, if you can manage the clients.
Yeah.
Because, anytime you're dealing with people, people are quirky, people are risky, people have their own opinions and ideas, and people have their own likes and dislikes that are totally different from yours. People have their own way of thinking that's totally different from yours. So producing something that's so you and so them a lot of times is just hard to do.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the honest discussion on it. And we need more real instead of, no, buy our course.
Yeah. For a limited time.
For a limited time. Glad you're here. Thanks.
Thanks.
Rockstar Sam, crushing my logo that you can't hire. Ha ha.
Not right now.
All right.